such. Okay, let's start again. So I want to talk about the effects that these deportations are having on American workers. According to the Brookings Institute, they have deported 925,000 people, and they've only allowed 185,000 people into the country. So that is going to affect the labor force growth and consumer spending and the country's GDP. So much so that Texas Republican Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz is working on pathways for citizen or for legal pathways for workers so that she can help South Texas contractors. They're really hurt. She also already did a Bracero 2.0 bill to help agricultural workers. So this is really having an impact. Representative Paramil Jayapal had, who's a representative with Washington's 7th District, she had a hearing, a congressional hearing on how losing immigrants is hurting American jobs. Now, the witness that she had on, I don't know who it was, but they said deportations do not open jobs for the American born. Instead, American workers lose their jobs, wages go down, and the economy slows. Hadn't heard that before. And the reason is one is called the man side effect. If we have 8 million unauthorized workers in 2023, they made about $300 billion that they spent on food, clothing, rent, etc. If you take that money out, that's hundreds of billions of dollars is gone, and people were going to lose their jobs. They'll lose their income. This is American born people that work at these places. American businesses will sell hundreds of billions of dollars less, which means they'll have to cut back on production and cut back on workers, and American workers are going to lose their jobs. Now, American workers, there's been research over the last 20 years that says that the undocumented people are not substitutes for American workers. They work in conjunction with them. Say in a restaurant, you might have 3 or 4 people in the back, they're chopping vegetables, they're cooking, they're cleaning the bathrooms. If those people are gone and they can't be replaced, then you'll see managers and waitresses and waiters getting fired. So that is the part that I wanted to talk about, the impact. But there's another part, and I'm glad Lenny's here because this is something that has come up. They're making more immigrants, or they're punishing Latin countries. Florida Senator Rick Scott introduced a bill that would deny visas to supporters of Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Bolivian governments. They say that those leaders are evil dictators and that their governments are criminal regimes. Now, not to be outdone, Representative Maria Elvira Salazar and the New Jersey representative, Maria Elvira is from Florida, from Hialeah, actually, and I worked with her at CNN in Espanol. They presented a bill called Restoring Sovereignty and Human Rights in Nicaragua. And that wants to impose targeted sanctions on Nicaragua's co-presidents, Ortega and Murillo. And it accuses them of crimes against the Catholic Church, the clergy, and the people of Nicaragua. Those 3 things. In 2018, the U.S. used its soft power to influence the elections and sponsored a coup attempt in Nicaragua. Members of the Catholic Church were involved, and those are the ones that the bill is referring to about silencing the church. Opposition leaders took money from U.S.-sponsored NGOs. There were about 5,000 NGOs in Nicaragua, all working for regime change in the name of human rights and democracy. And Nicaragua passed a law requiring them to register as foreign agents. And this is nothing new because in 1938, the U.S. had passed the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA, which requires foreign agents to register. And so,
about 1 minute, Adrian.
Oh, I thought I was done. I've got 519 here. But that's pretty much it. And of course, the other things are what the Nicaraguan government has done for its people, uh, promoting education, promoting roads and sustainability. And they also have become independent. They produce 90% of their food, which is incredible, by supporting small farmers and local production. They use renewables like wind, solar, and geothermal. But here's the funny thing, because Nicaragua's primary export now, instead of beef, is gold. And they're projecting $1 billion of gold to be exported. You think that might be the reason U.S. imperialists want to take over Nicaragua? What do you think?
That's a good question, Adrian. Tina's got a question too.
Right.
Can you repeat the name of the first congressperson you said that had the information about the economics? I didn't quite get her name. Was that the
Jayapal?
No, before her? You said was it someone in Texas?
Oh yeah, that is Monica de la Cruz.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yep.
That reminded me of the program we did. I think his name was Zeke. Yeah, Zeke Hernandez.
Yep.
Yeah, looking at the economic side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hurting him. All these deportations.
Yeah. Any
Lower.
other questions for Adrian?
Can we make a comment?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
sure. Cheryl, go ahead.
Yes. So the Super Bowl will be played here in Santa Clara County, about 10 miles from where I live, on February the 8th. And we've already been told that there will be ICE agents monitoring people entering into the enormous stadium. I don't know, 80,000 people stadium. So our
80,000.
our county, Santa Clara County, is overseen by a board of supervisors, and the supervisor in charge of the area where the stadium is has issued a statement to ICE and federal agents that if they cause any trouble while they're doing whatever they want to do outside the stadium, he will have them arrested. He's not going to have anything going on looking like what's been happening in Minnesota. So he is already warning federal agents, ICE agents, don't bring your awful tactics here to Santa Clara County. So I presume he's also sent this statement as well as telling those of us who reside in the county, but he hopefully has sent this statement to the pertinent people in ICE. So this is what's happening in my area to counteract what they've been doing in Minnesota. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Okay, and that's going to be February 8th, is it? The Super Bowl?
Super Bowl's February the 8th, and we're happy to say that the president will not be going.
Good.
He said he wasn't going because he didn't like the people who will be performing at halftime.
Oh, okay. Bad Bunny or whoever. Okay, no other questions? And we've used our allotted time for that part. Are you willing, Lenny, to tell us what's going, or give us an update on Venezuela?
I am, yes.
Thank
how
you.
much time do I have, please?
To talk, you've got about 6 to 9 minutes, and then we'll have questions.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I think everyone knows that the US bombed Venezuela and kidnapped the president and Celia Adela Flores, who prefers the title first combatant to the title first lady. And so I don't need to tell you about that. I've been in touch with a, a, a one of those secondary connection long-term friends, in Venezuela, a biologist who of course, was there for the bombing and who has about a week later gave us a description of what it was like. It's not going to fit into the time frame, but if anybody wants the transcription, I will be glad to send it to them. Please just message me in the chat. I'll send it. She said, I think it would be useful for people to understand what it's like being bombed by the US. This was, every once in a while the mask comes off and the US launches a direct attack. But most of what it goes on, not only with Venezuela, but also with Cuba and Nicaragua, is what's called hybrid war. It includes siege warfare intended to produce the suffering of a civilian population. But in addition to economic coercion and financial strangulation, information warfare is very prominent. Legal manipulation or lawfare, diplomatic isolation, and selective violence are all deployed to, destabilize and reverse any countries, especially in this hemisphere, that want to assert their sovereignty and control over their own resources. And it's the weaponization of everyday life, so that there's attacks on the currency. There's what we call sanctions, which are of course are U.S. unilateral economic coercive measures. They're designed to produce shortages, and they do. There's NGO pressure, and there's the lies and the ongoing distortions. So even people who say, well, maybe the US shouldn't have bombed Venezuela without a declaration of war and shouldn't have kidnapped the president without consulting Congress, are often victims of a bunch of false narratives. And one of the most prominent of these is the constant drumbeat of calling Maduro a dictator and calling this a regime or an oppressive regime. And the fact is, I although I'm not a Venezuela expert myself, I'm a Cuba expert if I'm an expert on anything besides pediatric emergency medicine. But I know Venezuela experts. I've known some of them for many years, including one of the embassy protectors, people who have gone as election observers. Maduro is an elected president. He was elected in the most recent election in 2024. There was a tremendous pre-election narrative supporting the idea that the opposition candidate, who was kind of like a shadow figure put up by Machado, since she wasn't eligible to run, since she had done so many, attacks on the nation and encouraged Netanyahu even to attack Venezuela also. So she put up this shadow candidate, and it was a close election, which is interesting, and reflects the fact that, first of all, U.S. economic quote unquote sanctions, the economic coercive measures, produced tremendous suffering in Venezuela, and people were desperate, to try to look for a way to get out from under. But the fact is that it was an election. It was a lot cleaner than most US elections, and Maduro won. He's not a dictator. Venezuela does not have a huge core of political prisoners. They do have a number of prisoners who have committed politically motivated violence. At the time of the 2024 election, I was in Cuba, and so the television we were watching was Telesur rather than the US. The Venezuelan right is a tremendously violent right-wing group, and they were attacking anything that they could identify as part of the government. And this included things like bus stations, and hospitals. Now, if you try to set fire to a person or throw rocks at a hospital and you're arrested, you are not a political prisoner. I'm sorry. You're a criminal with a political motive. So yeah, again, the narrative continues, the drumbeat continues. Maduro is and Celia de la Flores are prisoners of war, kidnapped hostages, and the chances of their getting a fair trial are zero. Um, Go ahead, George. Have I run over my time? I bet I have. Sorry.
No, you haven't. You're perfect. Um, it's 6 minutes. I had a question though. So there were people killed, uh, Venezuelans killed by Trump, imagining that they were carrying drugs or whatever. Many people killed. There was a boatload of people, and then there was a second attack. So I don't know the total number, but we're talking about innocent humans. Has there been no follow up to that? Is that going to go
Interestingly enough, yeah, there have been about an estimated 122 people killed. There have been two uh, there's a lawsuit being filed on behalf of two of the people who were killed, who were in fact from Trinidad and were heading back to Trinidad, I think, from Venezuela. That lawsuit was just filed recently. There's also been a complaint to the UN on the behalf. It's interesting to point out two things. One is that everybody except people who are, looking up this narrative, and that includes the DEA pre-Trump and includes the United Nations offices that have to do with drug trafficking, agrees that Venezuela is not a drug trafficking nation. It isn't. It doesn't produce fentanyl, period. These boats, whatever they're doing, they're not bringing fentanyl to the US. Some of them may be irregular migrations, some of them may be fishermen, some of them may be doing some smuggling. But it's also interesting to note that some of these boats have been bombed in the Pacific. I don't know if you've looked at a map recently. Venezuela doesn't even have a Pacific coast. It's a total lie. It's a total lie. And they're not even trying to make their lies believable. It's just we have the guns, so we can say whatever we want. It makes me furious, and I'm trying not to use really terrible language.
Good for you, Lenny. I would not be so generous. Barbara, what do you have?
I have a question in regard to the different viewpoints that we are hearing about Venezuela. And it seems to me that I'm hearing from people that they don't like the fact that Maduro was kidnapped, but that they're happy that he's out. And
who are these people who are happy?
They're people who have been away from Venezuela for quite some time, as far as I can tell. And yes, it's interesting because it's the methodology of the capture that seems to be getting more of a grip on people, at least the people I'm hearing.
If it's, how should I put it? When the US gets bombed without a declaration of war, do we call it a day that will live in infamy? Why should it not be the case? More than 100 people were killed in that bombing, including civilians. They bombed the maths department at the Venezuelan Institute of Investigations. They bombed a dialysis center. They killed civilians as well as military. It's nice, I wrote Schiff saying, thank you for sponsoring the War Powers Amendment. And I got back a letter saying something about how terrible Maduro was and how proud he was of the US troops. Really? Is this the best we can do? And even in the people who are saying that this shouldn't have been done, there were no demonstrations in Venezuela supporting the kidnapping.
Right.
There was a lot of AI out there. There were demonstrations in Miami, perhaps. There were some old demos from the election period. It had nothing to do with the kidnapping. And there were some flat out just made up images, again, the narrative is, then the subsequent narrative that somehow the U.S. was going to control Venezuela. I heard a very well-meaning, decent person say, "Oh well, now Venezuela has two presidents, both of them women." I guess he was referring to Maria Corina Machado. The U.S. is not controlling Venezuela. Venezuela Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has assumed the acting presidency, although she acknowledges Nicolas Maduro as the only president of Venezuela. The Venezuelan Congress is intact. The Venezuelan people are intact, and they are running their country. Delcy is definitely negotiating with a gun to her head. The U.S. lies all the time about what she has conceded and not conceded. She is not giving up sovereignty, and she has maintained that multiple times. But this
Thank you,
narrative
Lenny.
that, oh, Maduro is so terrible. Oh, Maduro, that comes from nowhere. He's a union leader, a person that we would probably, honestly, if I could trade anybody in the U.S. government, and that except maybe Barbara Lee, who's now, not in the national government, for Maduro, I would do it in 1 second.
Thanks so much for informing us about that. I'm certainly learning stuff tonight. So now we're going to hear from some people in issue committees. Oh, you have a question, Cheryl?
I have a comment in the chat. I have Tina got to it before me, is the link to our news article, particularly about the statement that Lenny's issue committee and my issue committee made and issued condemning the attack on Venezuela. So please save the chat, and if you haven't already, go look at that news article with the statement, with the actions that we're asking you to do around this situation. And as it notes in that statement, this is all to do with the oil that's underneath Venezuela. Venezuela, if you rank all the countries in the world that have oil reserves, Venezuela is at the top. Way more oil reserves than any other country in the world. And that, of course, is what is driving the US actions here. They want Chevron and what have you to be able to continue taking that oil. It's a very, very sticky oil, apparently. It takes a special kind of plant to process it and turn it into usable gasoline, and those happen to be in the US. So they do ship the Venezuelan oil into the US, where there are processing plants, I forget what the name is, to deal with that oil. Anyway, it's just, so many of our wars are basically about oil,
Yes,
as we
they
have
are.
noticed in the past. Thank you.
Yeah. Tina and then Eileen.
Oh, question. Cheryl, are you thinking of refineries?
Refineries, that's the word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tina?
Yes, Lenny, you had there was a seminar that you were a part of, and I saved it and then I lost it and did it. I remember thinking I couldn't get to it because it was a hard time for me. But if you have that reference, I'm sure we'd all is this has it passed already or is it coming up?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay.
I'm
I'm
hoping that they will put it online. Steve Elner, who is a Venezuela expert, gave all the the facts and figures, and then
Okay.
I read an edited version of she said account of the bombing and how
Well,
it
remind us what website it's going to show up on so that we can look for it. Do you-
I don't know. It was Ellen Schwartz. Please get in touch with her. It was her group.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. And I'm
Sure.
trying to save the chat like mad, but
I'm
could
gonna
could I
save the
just
chat. It'll
send
come
the
with the
transcript to
recording.
you, George, and then
Yes,
could you just send it out to everybody? And if you don't want to read it, you can delete it. That
absolutely.
would, oh, thank you.
Yes. Eileen?
George always does that. Yay, yay, yay.
Eileen, you're muted.
Hi, I have a comment and then a question. The comment is about 6 years ago, actually, it's probably longer than that, when Venezuela was first getting into turmoil and Maduro had just started. So that goes back a bit. I recall going to a restaurant maybe a year or two after that, and a restaurant right here in my city of Newton, which has its own issues on a different scale. Um, and I listened very carefully because this was run by a Venezuelan family and very much elite. They had no trouble getting established here. They had money. They left because they weren't getting what they wanted in Venezuela, is what I gathered. So the folks who have fled that I'm aware of, which is just a few, are doing well. The second thing is the question. I thought of this back then. What has prevented Venezuela from creating their own refineries? Was it a blockade, a lack of knowledge? Uh, Anyone have an idea regarding why they didn't establish their own refineries?
Well, we can start with the history of Venezuelan oil, which was very much a colonial project of the US and to a certain extent Great Britain. We can go on to the fact that the nationalization of the oil actually occurred in the 1970s. But your primary question is how come things are so bad in Venezuela? Um,
No, I
a
know what's
lot of people
bad.
think that you do.
I
You were
feel like it. Yeah, it's been on my radar for ages.
you were saying something about when Venezuela first began to be in turmoil. When did the U.S. start imposing severe sanctions on Venezuela? It was in the beginning of 2015. It
About the
wasn't
time I
recently.
started in Wilf. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I
And
I
so
think, I'm
But
sorry.
we're going too far. Why not refineries?
There you go.
how do you generate the startup currency for building refineries when you have really severe economic sanctions
Got
placed
it.
on your country
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
by the
I forgot
largest
her.
economic and military power in the world, although hopefully China is going to get out ahead of us at some point. Go ahead, Adrian. I think you have
Thank
info
you.
also.
Oh,
I'm
I'm sorry.
seeing your face.
Yeah, I was just
Tell
about to raise my hand. Yeah, I think it's a real good question why they don't. And I'm wondering, Lenny, if it's because of the um, neoliberal idea that they could just export it to the United States because the United States has refineries that will process that kind of oil. So maybe it was that reason why they didn't build their own refineries. But certainly because they didn't have the money because of the economic embargo as well. But when Carlos Andres Perez nationalized the oil and paid $1 billion to the companies that were bought out actually, and the New York Times said, "Oh, this is a great transition." But they could have done it then, but who knows why they didn't.
I understand
Yeah,
there was a refinery, but it wasn't completed. There was a start of a refinery.
Right.
And the basics of what is needed for a refinery, specialized equipment, probably to match the other equipment they had in other refineries, which came from the US, but now they couldn't get it because of the embargo. Special technological understanding. They had a lot of difficulty with people leaving the country due to the economic situation, and people who had that special technological understanding were among the first to leave or simply refused to work with the current government. And then, as Lenny was saying, they couldn't raise money because they couldn't sell the oil they had, refined or otherwise. Why bother refining the oil if you still can't sell it to anyone because the US is blockading you and putting sanctions on any country that receives your oil?
Ugh. Okay. Thank you for that. Very provocative, but not very, not great news. So let's hear from your issue committees. I know, Cheryl, you wanted to say something about disarm or
Yes. Yes. Shall I go?
yes.
Okay. So, two things. The doomsday clock was reset this morning. If you missed it, it was at 89 seconds to midnight. Midnight is when the world disappears as we know it. That's the definition of midnight. And it's now 85 seconds. And it's moved up by only 4 seconds. They don't consider just nuclear weapons when this committee is considering how far we are away from total, lapse of civilization. So they consider climate change, they consider political situations, they consider AI and all that. So I will put in the chat for you a copy of their statement, which they issued, and a short video where there are lots of videos, but I found a 48-second video for you. So there are toolkits out there that Disarm has access to use this as a hook. You're always looking for a hook to get notice about nuclear weapons into the major media, and the doomsday clock setting is always one of those hooks. So that's one thing. The other, because we've already talked about Venezuela, which was one of the things I was going anyway, is the New START Treaty. So Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty on the 5th of February is going to expire. Okay, it is the treaty that has for 25 years limited how much actual nuclear weapons the US and Russia can deploy. This is just between US and Russia. They agreed a long time ago that 1,500 weapons already in the ICBMs, in the submarines, all ready to attack the other country was a limit. And there were, so that had an end date, 5th of February coming up. Last September, Putin said to Trump and his administration, well, I know it's a difficult time, so why don't we just extend those numbers, okay, for another year, and hopefully during that year we'll find the possibility of generating a brand new treaty that will have the same effect. And maybe we'll bring in China, because China's making a whole bunch of new weapons. They're still far behind the numbers that the US and Russia. Anyway, Trump has been completely not saying anything. Okay, he's talked about, oh yes, denuclearization is a good idea, but he's not actually done anything about it. So we're expecting it to expire on the 5th of February, which of course companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon are so pleased, because then they'll be able to make more weapons and make more money to sell to the US military establishment. So again, when you get your e-news, which I hope will come out on February the 1st, you will find a whole article from the Disarm Committee talking about the expiration of New Start and what we all want you to do to talk to Congress. Because essentially, Trump says his next budget, right? The president every year around February sends a budget to Congress to discuss. And he's already warned us, well, the military part, it was almost $1 trillion. I'm going to make it $1.5 trillion. That's an enormous increase in the military budget. And then Congress has to decide how much of that they're going to allow. It's called the discretionary budget. So we are trying to connect this possible increase in the military budget to, therefore, the money is not going to civilian needs. This is an ongoing argument we've had about what's spent on nuclear weapons isn't spent on you all. So these are the kind of things that we want our members to be doing. And in that e-news article, you'll get links to toolkits and Google Docs with talking points, how to address your Congress people, because they are officially the holders of the purse, right? They are officially the people who allow money to go to this, that, and the other. So those are the the New Start expiration is kind of the disarm focus at the moment. There will be a review of the Non-Proliferation Treaty at the UN at the end of April. And we have 5 people from WILF who've asked to be part of the WILF International Delegation. So there will be 5 of us attending that conference in New York with permission to go all the way into the United Nations, where hopefully we can find some diplomats from the US and tell them off for not.
That's a good plan.
Yes.
Is
anyways,
there anything, Cheryl, that has?
Yes.
I know the TPNW anniversary was last week.
Yes. So
anything on that?
So my branch and some other people did have demonstrations on our favorite corner here in Palo Alto. And I think there were about 8 different organizations had activities. And Joan from the San Jose branch, who's here, they also used our banners to tell the passing motorists that that a lot of weapons were now illegal, divesting from Lockheed and Northrop Grumman and Raytheon is the plan at the moment. So we've got to get the public and pension plans to divest from those weapons manufacturers, because if they don't have shareholders giving them money, they will fail. So that's the new strategy, is divest from the weapons manufacturers.
Okay.
So please look in the chat. I'm going to plonk a bunch of things in there now. Thank you very much.
So to hear from other issue committees.
Nielsen for the staff.
Okay. Go ahead, Barbara, and then I see you, Jan.
Just really quickly, everybody here, I'm hoping, is aware that the number of countries that have ratified the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons may have changed in the last few years, but those people who are part of the Security Council, the big governments like the United States, have absolutely no desire to do anything like, oh yes, let's ratify the TPNW, which would go through our Congress and then to our president. But we still may have movement in the smaller countries, which is how it wound up being entered into force in the first place, through our Ray Atchison and the work that she has been doing over the years, and many others as well. So just so people know, there can be forward movement on the TPNW and the other 4 treaties on ending weapons of mass destruction based on humanitarian grounds, which is the thing that sets them apart. But we're not looking to our own country for a while to be doing any of that stuff. That doesn't mean there won't be movement in the other countries.
Thanks, Barbara. Lenny?
Over half the countries in the world have now ratified TPNW, 99 altogether, 99 countries. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. I didn't realize it had gotten up that much. That's a great number. Not us, but of course, that's a good number.
Mm-hmm. Lenny, do you have something? Your hand's up.
You're on mute, Lenny.
You're muted as well.
Yes, sorry about that. For Cuba and the Bolivarian Alliance Committee, when it's time for me to.
Go ahead.
Alrighty. We are planning a UNCSW parallel event for March 10th, and it's going to be focused around maternal and child health and defending the Cuban public health miracle from U.S. attack. I hope you'll all want to come to it, and that's what we're working on now. Yeah.
Awesome. Will there be an information coming out of the CSW after your event to us so that our members can hear about it?
Well, hopefully it's a online parallel event, and so I'm hoping that not only will you all come to it, I'm hoping you'll bring other people. So,
Okay.
March 10th.
So it is virtual. I mean, it's also
Yes, I'm
virtual.
afraid it has to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And how we're going to make that fit into the theme of CSW 70, which is women and justice. But you really can't have justice unless you're alive. So that's got to be, health is important.
There you go. I like
Yes.
that.
I'll call on some of y'all to. Oh, Jan Quarterman, nice haircut.
Oh, I need a haircut. Yeah, well, I wanted to start with saying that Trump is in Des Moines today, or was in Des Moines, and he was met with a lot of the huge group of protests, and including our Wolf Branch. So just to let you know that. In terms of MEPJAC, the one thing I want to make sure that people pay attention to is Jeannie Silver does notes to the whole branch's listserv on a pretty regular basis, and many of them include a real quick take action now. Couple of hits on it, and you can get you can take action. So she does a good explanation, real brief on what it's about. Does the take action. So please watch for those. If you're not already on the branch's listserv, let me know and I can make sure you get added, or you can do that through your branch, whatever's easiest for you, but we can definitely get you on there.
Thanks for that.
We've got 3 things coming up that we're getting scheduled. First part of February, we've got one of the groups we work with in Des Moines is going to talk with us about all the do's and don'ts for a 501c4. What can we do to get ready for this election? We want to make sure we know what not to do, but we also want to make sure we know what to do. So it'll be in terms of social media that we can use to talk about our issues and get some more turnover in our Congress. We have seen a couple people come to our side when it comes to Gaza, but certainly not enough. And certainly we need to do more in that area. So please watch for that webinar. We also have Abdul, I'm gonna get his name here, it's Kudos. He used to be with Al Jazeera, and now he's with DropSite. Those of you that attended our conference, our webinar of about a year ago, where we watched a movie that he moderated for us. We're trying to get him back. You may have seen on Amy Goodman this week. He was on and he talked about the behind the scenes of phase 2 of the quote Gaza peace agreement that Trump is engineering. So he really got into the depth of what's wrong with it and really nothing right with it. So we're trying to get him for a webinar, and we're having a hard time getting him down because he's very busy. We're going to be calling in Daoud Nassar from the Tent of Nations, and you may remember him. He spoke at our conference, our Congress two times ago. and he's gonna come back and talk with us. He's got a 100-acre, all organic Century Farm right outside of Bethlehem. And as you may recall from the first time we met with him, there's no water. He has to catch all his water, goes through lots of trials and tribulations to keep the farm going. So we're going to have him come back and talk with us also in the next year.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it'll be really good again. And I just want to make sure and give some space. We've got Barbara is here, Marlena and Joan, if there's anything they'd want to add. Or Matt
Hands
Jeff.
up if
Looks
y'all
like
want to
Barbara
add
does.
anything. Marlena or Joan.
And Barbara's got her hand up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
We also need to mention so that everyone knows that we're having discussions and working on how to do it to get an Iran section of WILP set up. We don't want to leave that out. It's a big deal.
Oh, yes, it
Thank
is.
you. Thank you.
Okay, Mary Beth, do you want to give an update on money, women, and democracy? Women, money, and democracy.
Yes. We had our annual planning retreat on Saturday. We went over several projects that we're planning to work on this year. We're most excited about the one about ranked choice voting. With the Mandami primary win in New York, the idea of ranked choice voting, which is not new,
No.
has gotten a new sort of wind under its wings, and our committee members are going to be connecting with their state advocacy organizations with an idea of how best to work in their states on this issue. And it seems to be moving pretty fast in some states, including Massachusetts, where they had a lobby day on
Thursday.
Thursday, that's right. And Eileen went, and she explained at our retreat that it's going great guns there and looks very positive. On February 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific, we'll be doing a webinar that features 3 young women experts on ranked choice voting from around the country, talking about how it works, why it's important, how it could break the stranglehold of the two-party system, and make room for more diverse, low-income, and progressive candidates in elections, including women. So I think it'll be really informative. It's a follow-up to the December poll that we had everybody take, which we posted the results of so that they could experience what ranked choice voting feels like. And then on February 2nd, which is coming up pretty quickly, our partner, An Economy of Our Own, is having one of their online conversations with 3 experts in local champions for food programs, and they'll be talking about what the real impact of Trump's budget cuts have been to people who depend on food programs and food funding. So I'll be sending out an e-alert about that soon with the registration link. I haven't gotten the link yet from them. Beyond that, we're looking also at a project, the first encouraging project we've heard of to counter the Citizens United ruling. The state of Montana is taking the strategy of having states use their power to charter corporations to alter the charters to restrict donations to political campaigns and candidates from corporations. And we're kind of cautiously watching to see how that will evolve in Montana and if it will have legs in other states that have ballot initiatives possible. My state of Iowa doesn't, but there you go. Regarding the ranked choice voting, I just wanted to tell one short story. Since we all had homework to connect with our local ranked choice voting organization, I looked up Better Ballot Iowa, and I thought since I had lived in Des Moines for 15 years, I might recognize somebody on their board or in their organization, and I didn't. But I clicked on their executive director, Ben Allen, I think his name is, and I was surprised to see that it said he lives in Clive with his wife, Peggy Fitch. Peggy Fitch is a member of our Des Moines branch. So that was a really nice synchronous connection. Peggy's going to be joining our committee in February.
Great.
And I think we'll enjoy a very nice working relationship with Better Ballot Iowa. So.
Oh, cool. Dee Murphy, do you want to give us an update on DPAL?
Yeah, hi everyone. Well, DPAL's been reorganizing and regrouping after the existential crisis that the chair went through. And some of the members have been less engaged as a result. So planning is in place for a recruitment effort, which should reinvigorate everyone. And a core group of the members have been putting together and holding things down. Our holiday PSA is again delayed due to technical difficulties, but we will put it out as a general announcement. And I have a question about, because I've been in and out dealing with these matters, I have a question for anyone who can answer it from the committee about reporting to the board from members of the issue committees. Is there a format that's being used? Is it based on their re-envisioning wealth? Is it something that's new that's in place that we're kind of under a directive to issue some type of?
Very simple in name, date, well, not even date, your name, the title of your committee, and just reporting it out. Very simple.
And I think Linda created a template that people can use. If I find it, I will send it to you.
Okay.
Or if Eileen, you know where it is, you can send it.
Yeah, I think I could grab it and send it soon. I need your email.
Okay, I'll send you an email because this is recorded and I don't know where it's going to wind up. So
okay. Or Eileen, you can send it to me and I'll send it out with the recording and the chat. Anyone else have
thank you.
Issue committee update to do? Sure. Thanks, Dee.
Yeah.
Other issue committee updates?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes.
George.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a brief report on CSW.
Yeah.
So we'll be there. We've got 3 local global people going. Lenny is one of them. Thank you, Lenny, for applying, and glad to have you on board. CC Anderson from the Atlanta branch and Kathleen Ramirez from the Tucson branch will be our local global people. We have 2 practicum and advocacy folks attending as well. So we look forward to working with all of them, as well as Cynthia Roberts, Virginia Pratt, Val Mogadon, Tina. Tina's going to bring some folks in with her, are coming in, and I haven't heard from Eileen yet, but I expect her to come in too. So we have.
Yeah, you did hear from me. I'm coming.
Oh,
that's
okay.
quite a crew. That's like 8 people at CSW.
Yeah.
Jan Stroud,
there's only 5 that are from the CSW programs. Other people are coming under their own steam.
Oh, okay.
but it is something that I'm excited to get everybody together. And of course, that's not counting the number of people we'll have from Wolf International.
And will you remind me of those dates again? I know it's March.
Yeah,
And
March
it
9th
ends
through
on
the
the 20th.
Yeah, it's 2
13th?
weeks starting. It's 2 weeks. The whole CSW is 2 weeks starting March 9th. Our program is 1 week, so it's March 9th through March 13th.
Okay.
Is the
Thank
9th the Monday or is it the Saturday before?
9th is the Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. 9th is a Sunday in February. I'm pretty
No.
Are you
sure.
sure?
No, it's the
March.
Monday.
It's March.
March.
March. Okay. Okay. And
Okay.
anyone have any general announcements?
I want to make sure and I want to let the issue committee know about a budget issue that's coming in front of the board on Friday.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm a member of the finance committee, and of course Barbara's here too as the treasurer, but we've put together a very tough budget, and it includes some cuts that directly affect our issue committee. So I wanted to make sure and let you know about them. That'll be debated, the board will have to approve it. So you're certainly welcome to contact the board if you disagree with any of this. But we've been doing cuts, unfortunately. I hate to say this, but we've been doing cuts. Last July, we lost one whole staff person and cut another one. So this year we're looking at no piece in 2026. Our proposed budget that the board will act on Friday has no peace and freedom. That's a $16,000 tab that we don't feel we can afford this year. It has cuts the mini grant fund from 10,000 to 5,000, which happened in 2025, and all the way down to 2,500 for 2,500 for 2026. And it also, the one that directly affects this group here, is it also calls for cutting the issue committee allowance from $500 to $425. That's a 15% cut. And in spite of that, we're still looking at drawing deeply from reserves and from dividend and interest that we have on a couple of our investments. So again, it's not something that Barbara and I are tickled about proposing, letting you know about, but we did want you to know about it and let you know that that'll be acted on Friday if you'd like to contact the board.
Friday is the board meeting. I was thinking it was Thursday, but it's Friday.
Thursday.
Oh, it is Thursday. Good.
Thursday, yeah.
All right.
Okay, I better change my date.
So other announcements, I've got Teresa Elamine and Barbara Taft.
Excuse me, could I have something to add to the funding thing, if we want to keep it together.
If you want to, go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for all of the work that's been done the last 3 years while I've been treasurer. I mean, you didn't do it because I was treasurer during my term this last time as treasurer. The creativity and the amount of excellent energy and productivity has been very noticed and appreciated. And I hear it as I talk to, interestingly enough, people in branches around the country and elsewhere. We've had a lot of change. As you know, we've had a new executive director, which we hadn't had in a while. That came funded along with some other serious funding. But we're still in a very bare bones budget that we have been in increasingly the last 3 years, and we've been very creative in making our investments work for us and give us money that we can use. So we thought long and hard about this 425 from 500 before making a decision in the finance committee to make the presentation to the board. And we're hoping that the grassroots groundwork that's been in the works for the last several months will take hold and produce results with higher income by mid-year this coming year in 2026. So just wanted you to know that we gave it a lot of thought before we made any recommendations that led to this 425 from 500 or the mini grant cuts. we just couldn't get blood from a turnip after a certain point. So thank you for your patience, and any ideas you have for raising money, the finance committee will support you 1,000%. Just, let us know if we can be of any help. I'm sure development feels the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got announcements from Teresa Elamine and Barbara and Darian.
Well, thank you, George, and congratulations on completing your term as program committee chair. And congratulations to the new board members, Jan and others who are coming back on the board in Jan's case. The announcement I'd like to make is the Women in Conflict Zones webinar, the very successful webinar that was held in March of 2025 in collaboration with the International Peace Bureau, World Beyond War, and the Convention for Pan-Africanism and Progress, the Southern Anti-Racism Network, represented by me and George, are collaborating again this year for a Women in Conflict Zones webinar, which will be held on March 4th, and it'll be at noon Eastern time. So watch for more information coming from World Beyond War to register for the webinar. We wanted to avoid any conflict with the CSW, which we had the last webinar during the CSW. However, there will be a second webinar on women in conflict zones. The first one will be the Western Hemisphere and Africa. So we'll be taking in Venezuela and Cuba and Colombia and other countries that are in conflict. There may be an argument made that the U.S. is a conflict zone, given what is happening with ICE and the Border Patrol killing U.S. citizens. There may be an issue about that in this webinar coming up. And the second webinar will be the Asia Pacific, which is recommended by the International Peace Bureau. So the International Peace Bureau and World Beyond War are doing the heavy lifting in terms of finding speakers, but save the date of March 4th, 12 noon Eastern time for the Western Hemisphere and Africa webinar on women in conflict zones. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. I was just talking and muted. Barbara, you've got one, and then Darian.
Yeah, a couple of times in these meetings and other meetings, I have mentioned the Global Peace Poetry Marathon. And I want to let you know that Shelby and I have been attending meetings of this organizing group that started in Ecuador. And now there are at least 10 countries in North and South America and Central America involved in it. We're going to be doing a preliminary testing of how this might work at the Forum and Festival, formerly the Teach-In at ASU on February 14th. It deals with places of tenderness, meaning places where bad things have happened to people. And we know that a lot of the different branches are interested in publicizing this kind of thing and might be interested in participating in this Global Peace Poetry Marathon. It also includes not just poetry, but other arts as well. And I will only tell you one more thing, that each person who reads during this can be reading their own poetry of well-known poets or not so well-known poets. And if your branch might be interested, or you know people who might be, please let me know. My email is one of the ones that's in what you'll be receiving today.
Okay, Barbara, that's exciting. Darian?
Just if anyone was eager to have it, I went ahead and posted the template for the board reports in the chat. And those are optional reports, but it's valuable for every issue committee chair to be aware that by filing a report, you get about 2 minutes at the board meeting to talk about it. Thank you.
Oh, great, Darian. All right. Well, we made it. It's 9:40. Not too many minutes after 9:30. And this will be my last program committee meeting that I chair. Yay! I'm dancing, waving my hands as much as I can in joy. And thank you, Tina, for taking over. I know you're going to be awesome. All right. Well,
Congratulations and thank you very much, George. You've
Thank
been
you,
really
George.
You're gonna
inspirational.
miss
Yes, thank
it.
you.
We're gonna
Thank
miss
you.
you.
all right. All right.
God, are we gonna miss you?
Thank y'all very much.
And
Have
thank
a
you,
good
Tina.
month and many blessings. All right. Peace and love. Bye.
Happy freedom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
All right.